So welcome to our second video in our top 10 games that changed gaming, and we're going to do numbers 6 to 10. And at number 6, Ridge Racer. This was an arcade racing game developed by Namco and released in 1993 and then ported to the PlayStation 1 for the console's release in 1994. And in terms of innovation, this was the moment where the home console became as good as the arcade. All ports before that always were on inferior hardware and were pale imitations of the games you played in the arcade, but not Ridge Racer. I mean, I can remember seeing this game playing in the shop window of Newcastle HMV and being blown away. It enabled the PlayStation 1 to steal a march on its rival, the Sega Saturn, in terms of speed of gameplay and really cool graphics.
2 laps to go.
And the PlayStation 1 was one of the key moments in gaming, where gaming went from a kind of ghetto activity to really a mass market entertainment. And I can remember in my very first job as a game developer playing this game long into the night, after hours, trying to beat the lap times, trying to master the drifting mechanic within the game.
Next corner stop. Watch yourself.
And you can see from this footage I recorded just last week that I'm a long way from being a master at it now. I'm very out of practice. But I think you're going to see, yes, a little bit of drifting around that corner there. A tiny bit out of control. And the PlayStation 1 initial pad didn't have sticks. It was a digital pad, so you would like be tapping around the course on the D-pad. Up to 4th now, not bad. And is it still fun to play today? Absolutely. Despite the graphics really, not being where racing games are now, it still has an excellent arcade feel about it. Nearly lost it, coming up to the straight. First.
Yeah! It's a new record. Great job. I got everything on camera.
So for ushering in a new era of gaming entertainment, Ridge Racer, number 6. Number 7, Half-Life.
Good morning and welcome.
Created in 1998 by Valve Software and published by Sierra, the creator Gabe Newell wanted to make an immersive world rather than this kind of simple shooting gallery that a lot of first-person shooters had been beforehand. So the theme of the game, you play Gordon Freeman, a scientist who has to escape from the Black Mesa base after an experiment goes terribly wrong. The plot has elements of Stephen King, The Mist, that if you've seen that. So the plot might have not been highly original, but at the time its implementation was massively original. And you can see here, this is the opening of the game, and it's like one long cutscene, but I can move around, I've got control, I can see the game world, and later in the game I'll revisit some of these sections, and I can see NPCs, non-player characters going around their world, and it's just an incredibly immersive way to get you into the beginning of the game and to get you into the game world.
You must report to Black Mesa personnel for processing before or you will be permitted into the high security branch of the transit system.
And that was one of its major innovations. All of the story elements happened within the game whilst you were controlling your character. NPCs would address the player, but it was the player's choice whether to pay any attention to them or not. And that's perhaps the key great thing about the game. It's all about player power. Everything the player can do will affect the level. The player sets the pace of the game. Ignore the story if you want, or get really involved. And it had loads of cool mechanical innovations. Like, one thing it did, if you were very low on health, the game would make the enemies more liable to miss you so that you would survive. And I remember telling a programmer that I was working with at the time that I was playing the game late at night and I was down to 2% health, and somehow I survived and made it back to full health. And it made me feel like a games ninja. And that was when he told me what happened in the code. And so obviously it was a really, really clever thing for them to do in the game. So I've recorded quite a lot of footage here, and I will take you through some key highlights, key moments in the game that really make it an excellent experience. And at number 8, GTA, Grand Theft Auto. And specifically, the moment when the series went from the 2D Grand Theft Autos to the first 3D Grand Theft Auto 3. Personally, I can remember being in the Sony office with my game team, and someone had bought a copy maybe a week early, and everyone was standing around watching it being played, and people were amazed by the open world, and if not the graphic fidelity of each scene, then the graphic diversity of the scene and the whole world. And I clearly remember by the following Monday of the next week, about 30 people had gone out and bought the game at the weekend and spent the entire weekend playing it. Innovation wise, it was the game where you had the maximum freedom to play it. There was no right way to tackle each mission. And what else can you learn from it? It's the perfect fusion of theme into gameplay. You play a criminal building up his empire, starting on missions, and the gameplay is a fantastic representation of this. It's worth mentioning that the whole thing started out as a mistake. The original game was supposed to be a Need for Speed style racing game, but the police chase AI was set too high, and the developers actually found it to be more fun being chased by the police and just trying to escape than the original concept. And from that, the core gameplay of GTA was born. So never underestimate chance and prototyping and developing your idea from the initial concept onwards, and being open to the fact it might evolve into something new and different. Number 9, no debate, Minecraft, the ultimate creative digital Lego style playground. We're going to do a specific number of videos on key games, and this will be one of them, so I'm not going to go into too much detail now, but it's the game that spawned an entire creative genre. Other games have followed in its path, but it's still the number 1 digital creative toy box in the world today. And number 10, remember, it's my list, Pokemon Go. I love this game. It's the perfect realization of the Pokemon IP, I think. Mobile on your handset, where you hunt the Pokemon in the real world using AR. I think I'm about level 34. I've got about 400 Pokemon. It's just a game that perfectly encapsulates its theme and its mechanic, that you're hunting these little creatures. So what better way to do it than actually moving through the real world to do that? And there's been loads of AR, VR imitators, but none of them has been as successful as this game. Not just because of the IP, which is obviously a massive IP, but even the implementation of Pokemon. So for making the first AAA AR hit Pokemon. So that's our top 10 completed. And it's just a taster of some of the things we're going to do in the game's history modules. But hopefully you've seen and learned a few key things, and you've had a chance to play some of these games. Playing some of the older, earlier games, you can see how a very, very well refined and honed mechanic can make a very, very compelling experience, and how you don't need 3D graphic complexity in every game to make a game that people are going to really enjoy playing. So hopefully you can take some of those lessons and thoughts into the other modules as you make your first games with us in the rest of the course.